Good afternoon, Dr. Salami. Thanks for doing this interview for Black History Month.
Thank you for having me.
As a Black woman in Edmonton today, how well do you think you've done?
I think I've done okay, all right, as a Black woman in Edmonton and also as a Black woman in Canada.
Recently, you won an award which you shared with us on Facebook. Can you tell us what you're working on at the moment?
Several things. The biggest that I'm working on is I'm trying to create a network of researchers across the globe focused on African child well-being in the context of migration and displacement. So we have 26 researchers across the globe who are involved in this project to create a network. That is probably the biggest thing I'm working on. I'm also trying to create a mentorship program for Black youths at the University of Alberta. And I'm doing a few research projects related to Black parents, single parents, Black African single parents and African who have been separated and reunited.
Thank you. Would you say opportunities are the same for all women?
No. If you're a woman, you have the double whammy. And if you're a Black woman, there's the triple jeopardy of your race, your immigration status, and also your gender, which is really not in favor, as opposed to a Black man. You have really the gender roles to contend with, such as responsibilities in terms of childcare to contend with. There's also, biases within the system too that limits, the mobility of women, especially Black women. So yes, there are challenges. You just really try to work around the challenges and you develop a thick skin.
Can you talk to us about some of these challenges that Black women especially face?
A lot of the challenges, a lot of Black women come to Canada and they experience challenges, for example, in terms of credential assessment and recognition. So their credentials are not seen as being equal to Canadian. There are systemic barriers and systemic racism in the system. And they also have to contend with the systemic racism that their children face, including in the school system, and navigating the school system and supporting their children in the school system. So those are some of the challenges that Black people face. Income and also the social support, finding appropriate social support when you're in Canada.
Systemic racism, many people say this is not true, that Canada is one and the same for everyone. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think this is not true. It's not true for some people. So if you're like a Caucasian, maybe it's not true for you, but it's true for some Black people that we know that if two people submit a resume for a job and each of them have the same equivalent education and credential, and one person's name sounds like Fatima Muhammad, and the other person's name sounds like Jennifer Wilson, that probably it's going to be Jennifer Wilson that is going to get the job, not Fatima Muhammad. So we know that there's systemic racism within the system that really deters people. We have in Canada, I should acknowledge that we've moved forward. There was a time that it was illegal, kind of illegal for Black people to come to Canada because Canada basically barred people that were of certain races due to the rationale that they couldn't cope to the weather of Canada. Of course, those policies have changed, but there are still things within our system that really deters the economic success and also other successes for Black population.
It's Black History Month this month, and we choose to celebrate and recognize achievements of the Black community. Are there any such achievements you'd like to celebrate in this interview?
Well, I think there's a lot of Black people within our community that are doing such a great work and are making a lot of difference within our community. I think I agree that some of their works need to be better highlighted and better profiled. There are people that are working at the grassroots level, and then there are also people. We know that we don't have enough of us in decision making. There is something, when I was doing my PhD, someone once told me something about the cappuccino effect. And
What's
it's like
that?
the cappuccino effect is like, when you look at the workforce, it's like a cappuccino. It's black underneath, white on top, and we need to stir things up to make sure that, when you go to the cleaning, those that are cleaning, those that are doing childcare, that you see a lot more black people. But as you climb up, you see less black and more. So there's a need for equity, diversity, and inclusion at all levels.
I know that many black people are in the personal care industry and in the hotel industry and things like that. Is this part of what you're referring to?
Yes, so and I did that too. I actually worked in personal care when I was a student.
All right.
When I was a undergraduate student, that's how I basically survived, made money over the summer to be able to actually fund myself through school. Mm-hmm. So yes, that's what I mean is, and I worked in hotel. I worked as a banquet server in my senior years of high school. Mm-hmm. Yes, that is some of the things I mean. And a lot of those people, they have education and credentials that are much above, the average Canadian. We know that, African people and immigrants generally tend to have higher educational credentials than Canadians, but then they earn less on average than Canadian. So, some of those issues and discrepancies need to be addressed.
So really, Black History Month, is there anything to celebrate therefore in terms of systemic racism and all these barriers and hurdles that are in front of the average black family?
Well, I think we need to reflect. We need to reflect back to where we've been, to our history, including the history of those, the first black settlers in Alberta and also across Canada, and the challenges they faced and how they were able to overcome it. And we also need to look at the present, to look at what is currently happening. And I think Black history is also a time for us to actually look towards the future of really seeing what is the vision for the future for us and how can we actually leverage ourselves towards the future.
Thank you. They say Canada is a leveler. Would you say new immigrants would be able to cope in Edmonton today, given all these challenges?
I think so. Some immigrants are, able to, still move ahead with all the challenges. Of course, there are programs and services that are offered by some community organizations now that are helping some immigrant people to be able to move forward. So we are doing a few things, but then there's also more that we need to do, including building a sense of community within immigrant populations, and also support in terms of finding a job that is equivalent to one's education and experience.
That is true. Have you sometimes felt judged by your race or tied to other people of color with your success as an academician?
Well, judged by my race, I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't know if it's judged by my race, judged by my looks, judged by anything. But, one thing I deal with every single day is I don't look like the typical,
African woman.
Not the typical African woman, the typical
academician.
Yes, I don't look like so.
But what does a typical academician look like, though?
Well, that's the thing, right? Like,
is it more white, Caucasian?
It's really the, most people are like, like I'm not a white male. Basically, I'm not a white male, and that's a challenge.
And you're doing so well as
well. Because a lot of people, I'm often underestimated, but this has become a story of my life, right? And I've just learned to make it as a positive rather than a negative. That people oftentimes don't see it coming, and
it shocks them.
Yes, but at the same time, there's also the part about people. There are things sometimes that you don't get given because people don't expect that you're that strong or you're that good. So
I see. Some people say people in academia like yourself live in a bubble, that you are not really aware of what happens outside academia. Would you say in your experience that you've had the support of a mentor, a godparent, or a godfather at your workplace to excel, or you've not needed any of those structures to shine?
So a lot of academia live in a bubble because a lot of times we're just stuck in our books and we read and we don't really engage in the community. With my work, I really engage in the community, although it slowed down since I had kids. So that allows me to be able to, but yes, I have benefited from mentorship. So, when I first came here, there was someone that was meeting with me every 2 weeks. I told one of my colleagues that someone was meeting with me every 2 weeks to mentor me. And so that has been a great benefit to me. The other thing is when I first came to Canada, in my second year, I was enrolled in a summer mentorship program for Black youths. And that helped me to develop a vision for myself, and that helped me to see, as opposed to seeing my parents that weren't successful, I could see that, at least there's a Black doctor there, there's a Black, nurse there. Maybe I can be like that Black doctor that looks like me. If she can make it as a Black person, I can make it.
So you had role models from an early age.
Right. So because of that, that is also helping me now to kind of think, how can I contribute to the future for Black people? So
that's why you're doing the research you're doing right now to sort of give back or pay forward.
Well, I'm trying to create a mentorship program, just like someone created a mentorship program for me. I'm trying to create a mentorship program. I'm still, structuring it, but yeah, hopefully it will turn out well.
We wish you every luck there. So have you ever felt you've had to dim your light or approach cautiously because you're Black?
Well, I don't know if I dim my light. I think it's more of other people dim their light.
For you?
Yeah, because it's just like, you approach.
Explain that.
Because you approach and people don't see you as being competent because of
they still don't see you as being competent? With all your awards?
People, and that's one of the things about stereotypes and racism, right? People make judgments, within a minute
before they get to know you.
Before they get to know you, just, listening to your voice, seeing how you look. So this is one thing I deal with every day. And I mean, you just, at a point you develop a thick skin and you don't focus on it. You just look at other things.
I mean, I've got a question that I almost skipped. It says, what sort of prejudices have you experienced? And I wrote this because I thought after a while you get to a peak where no one can touch you. You can just rub that off, because you stand all by yourself as an icon of Black excellence. So I'm really just a bit shocked that,
No,
the rest of us have no chance if you experience it still, even on a day-to-day basis.
Well, I remember when I was a nurse on the floor, what I used to get a lot is I used to get the garbage can. Because, people just automatically see you're Black, and it's like, the, cleaners are supposed to be Black. To be. You're supposed to be a cleaner and not a nurse, so you get a garbage. And, you just deal with it. But now, there are different ways that it plays out. Right. I think things, as you move up the ladder, I think it changes. The politics related to race and racism changes as you move across. But you need to also be skilled in terms of being able to navigate it delicately and work with it. But it's not that it doesn't exist. I think people automatically thinks, when you get, up the ladder that, everything is all smooth and
it all disappears.
No, it, one experience that I've had in the past is once I had an international visitor come and visit me in my university, and when it was time to take pictures, I kind of realized from his nonverbal cues that he didn't want to take a picture with me, because his thing is he's coming to Canada. He wants to take a picture with a white person.
Not with you, but was your visitor, no?
But
Oh, dear
he
Lord.
shadowed me for a day, right? And he wanted to take a picture with a white person. But I'm not white. I'm not a stereotypical African.
Right.
But an experience like that may make you want to just go and just cry and be like, my skin color is still a barrier. I'm not white. But you just go and you dust it off and you move on. So sometimes I get when I am an international visitor and when it's time to take pictures, honestly I'm not as confident.
You just move. Yeah,
I'm not as confident because I just maybe I'm not the one that you were planning to.
And those are the
subtle issues related to race and racism that you experience. And the other part that you experience sometimes is when you're on the board table, and you're talking about, and an issue about diversity comes in. I always feel uneasy because when you're the only person that is non-white and people are talking, people are looking to you to really hear what is she gonna say, and then I'm like, I don't want to be the voice of all black people all immigrants on this agenda.
Because not all black people are you.
So it does really put you, but at the same time you're there and you want to have a voice. But at the same time it's like you want to have a voice, but at the same time you don't, it's sometimes
you don't want to rock the boat.
Yes, it's an uneasy feeling sometimes. So that's why I say we need more diversity in terms of
at the top of the cappuccino.
At the top of the cappuccino, we need not white and black. Maybe we need brown all mixed together, right? So
a nice rainbow. So, what sort of emotional energy, therefore, would the black community need to endure this sort of thing successfully? Because I'm coming from a place where sometimes I've got good days, sometimes I don't have good days. And you just need to be strong. And everyone is as strong as you are. Yeah. So coming here, but why do we need to be that strong though?
Yes. I think, there's a lot that, those that came before us, black people, have done to move things forward. I think we need to continue moving things forward in terms of policies and practices. And I also think that we need to create belonging within us.
We lack communities and
a sense of community and support to be able to. Like, I think about, the indigenous population have been so marginalized within Canada, but there are some things that we can also learn from them within Canada. So, for example, their appreciation of their elders and indigenous knowledge system. And the question is, how much do we appreciate the knowledge systems or knowledge from within us and within African countries? So those are some of the things that we need to think about.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.